All right, 90-degree haircut. So basically what we're doing is, and I do the 90 all the time, okay? The 90 is just wherever you are on that person's head, you are pulling straight off, just like it's a rocket, okay? So if it's here, I'm pulling straight up. If it's here, I'm pulling here. If it's the side, I'm pulling here. And here. So you have to think, if I'm a spaceship, where am I going? Straight off that head, okay? So every single one of these angles is a 90-degree angle, okay? So here, I'm gonna go this way. And when I'm going around the head, if I'm looking at the top, okay? Aerial view, okay? It's here, here, here. Okay? No matter where I am, I'm pulling that hair straight off the scalp and I'm cutting parallel to the scalp. Okay? So I'm gonna end up with a round form at the end. Okay? We're gonna do the 90 all the time. I do this on all of my haircuts. I'm always, if it's a men's cut, I'm gonna do this exact same thing. The only thing is that I'm gonna vary the lengths, right? So the top's gonna be longer, the sides are gonna be shorter, but I'm still have to blend the sides with the top, right? So I'm gonna go right between here and blend that, okay? What we're gonna do right now is just a uniform layered cut. So that means if this is 4 inches, this is 4 inches, this is 4 inches, this is 4 inches, this is 4 inches. No matter where I pull, I'm cutting it at 4 inches long, okay? Of course, when you actually go to do a person's haircut, depending on what the outcome is, then maybe you pull that 90 here a little shorter and you taper it. Okay, it's gradually maybe going to get longer, and then at the top even longer. Okay, this is going to be your typical men's cut right here. Now clippers, I'm doing the same thing with clippers, aren't I? Because clippers, I'm going to buzz it all. It's going to be the same length all over the entire shape of the head, and I'm going to use a guard to blend those different lengths. That's it, but it's still coming out at a 90, okay? So what I want you to think of, rather than getting caught up in where you are on the head, I want you to pull at different, what I call your time, okay? So when you're looking at let's get rid of this one. So when you're looking at these, okay? The top of the head, we're going to pull straight up, right? And that's 12 o'clock. Right? When I go to the sides, I'm going to be at 3 o'clock. And I say 3 o'clock because I'm right-handed, so I'm constantly going to be controlling with my left, pulling at 3 o'clock. And when I work facing my mannequin, I'm pulling 3 o'clock all the way around. I'm going to turn my mannequin, or I'm going to move around my mannequin. This arm never moves. It stays frozen here. Okay? So don't do this. Don't go up and down, up and down, up and down. It's going to take you all day to do this haircut. Okay? Keep your arm up. You can clearly see, where's my hand pointing? 3 o'clock. Okay? So when I'm here, I'm going all the way around my mannequin at 3 o'clock. If you're left-handed, then you're going to be pulling at 9 o'clock, right? Okay. So 12 is straight up, 3 o'clock all the way around the sides. Okay, when you get into the back area, then you do more like 5 o'clock. Okay, because you're always cutting parallel to the scalp. So once you are, down here and you're cutting parallel, and you're going to pull parallel to that nape area, okay? Everything else is blending. Okay, so when I section this, I'm gonna have my 5th section up here. Okay, I'm gonna have, let's just say it's there, right behind the ear, or right at the ear, and then right at the nape. Okay, so I'm basically going to work in horseshoe sections. So here is where this is gonna end, then this is gonna come around here, well, no, here. Okay, and so each section is basically a different. So when I'm here, this section is 12 o'clock. This section right here is 3 o'clock. This section down here is 5. Depending on how large or small that person's head is, then these sections may get smaller, obviously, or bigger, correct? But we have to follow the shape of the head. So right at this parietal ridge here, this is going to be blending all the way around, okay? So this section here is going to be more at 1:30. Does that make sense? Okay, so if I do my 12 o'clock with the entire 5th section up here, and then I go around and do my 3 o'clock all the way around below that parietal ridge but above the ears, okay, then all I have is this little section here to blend. So when I pull this out, I can cut that and blend it, okay? Then I'm going to go into the nape area and work all the way down. This is the only time that I'm going to pull this hair down and cut palm to palm, okay? Everything else I'm going to pull up and cut above my hand, okay? All the way around. I'm going to cut above. When I go to my nape area, I'm doing palm to palm and I'm going down, okay? Okay. So I'm going to work in horseshoe sections. So after I decide what my length on top is going to be and my length on bottom, which is what we do with every haircut, right? How long do you want that hair? Do you want this to be a number 1 guard, a number 2 guard, a number 3 guard? Do you want it finger length? Are we cutting a bob? Are we doing a shaggy haircut? So your bottom length, your perimeter, and what is your 12 o'clock section? Your 5th section is always the layers. Okay, that's your shortest layer. So do I want this to fall at the cheekbone? Do I want this to fall at the chin? Okay, or is this a men's cut where it's either finger length or number 4 guard or a few inches long? Okay, so we're always deciding what our top length is and our bottom length is, and then the rest is blending it all together, right? That's it. The problem is that we have to have consistency, okay? You have to be the same length on this side that you are on this side. Okay? You have to constantly be making sure that you are in fact pulling in the same direction all the way around that mannequin or that person's head, okay? So this is where we can never over direct, okay? Our guide is stationary or is it traveling? Traveling. We're going to travel every inch of that haircut. Every inch is going to be moving. We're moving, 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 moving. Okay? And so if I'm here and I'm doing my 3 o'clock section and I'm pulling this out a 1/2 inch, I'm also cutting vertically. Okay? So I'm going to take my little sections all the way around, and this hair I'm pulling to the center. So I'm not pulling it forward, I'm not pulling it back, I'm pulling it straight out and cutting it. Then this one straight out, this one straight out, this one straight out. So I'm constantly moving and I'm following that curve of the head. Okay? Go with me? Okay? All right, so I'm gonna demonstrate. Let's see if I can't do this. Okay. So I've isolated the nape at the occipital bone. I have my entire back section and my sides, start right at the ear. I've gone all the way around my parietal ridge. I've created a 2-inch center piece that is right at the top of the head in the center. And then I've isolated my little blending sections here. So when I talked about times, right? So this one, I'm pulling it all straight up at 12 o'clock, and I'm cutting it. My next piece, I'm doing at 1:30, then my next piece here, 3 o'clock. Okay, and I'm basically going to do that all the way around the entire head. Okay. The only difference is, okay, that this section, I'm going to fan out. Okay, so my 12 o'clock, because I can't just pull it straight up and cut it here, which on a men's cut, that is what I would do, okay? Because a men's cut is basically a 180 on top, where I'm pulling everything straight up and cutting it. The front's always gonna be a little bit longer, and then back here, I would blend with my shorter layers here. So men's cut, I would do straight up at a 180 right here, okay? But for a 90, I'm gonna actually break this down into 4 pieces. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can see, because of the curve of the head, I have to do that, right? Okay. I'm still pulling it straight up, but I'm having to fan it out a little bit, okay? Okay. And again, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be working this way. All right. I'm going to do the length of my comb, which is about 6 inches, okay? I'm going to do my whole top section, and then from there move down all the way around, working from right to left, and I'm going to always travel. Okay, here we go. And like I said, as long as you're pulling straight off, just like a rocket ship, you're going to be fine. Always cutting parallel to the scalp, so don't pull it out here. Make sure that your fingers are parallel when you're pulling. Make sure you're in the center of your section, so I'm not pushing it this way or this way. I'm pulling it straight out from the center of that section and cutting parallel to the scalp. Okay? I'm going to take a piece of this, let the rest go. Go to my second section here. And follow my traveling guide. So there's my guide. Cutting parallel, making sure I'm coming straight off. You don't have to measure every single time, okay? But you do have numbers on the side of your comb, so if you know you're doing 4 inches, then you've got a number 4 on the side of your comb. Okay. Third section is going to come right straight up. There's my guide. I'm cutting parallel to the scalp. Grab a piece, let that go, and come around. Come straight off, find your guide, cut it. Okay, so now I've got a center guide all the way down the middle of that entire head. I can separate this right down the middle. And I've got a top guide all the way around my entire head, right? Okay. Now, I am going to go to my next section here, okay? Which is technically like, what, 130-ish, right? gonna part it down the middle so that I have my center guide. I'm gonna take vertical pieces and looking in your mirror, make sure you're looking in your mirror that she's actually straight, okay? Pull this straight out. And again, I can use this top piece as my guide, but I'm not pulling it here to cut it, I'm pulling it at 130, right? And if you ever aren't sure, just think about if my comb stays like this, where is it gonna go? It's gonna go straight off this way, right? And again, wherever you're cutting, that's where you're pulling. So I'm not gonna pull this back here. I'm gonna pull straight out from that section. There's my guide. I'm gonna cut parallel to the scalp. I can take a little section of this. Take another vertical piece. And just work my way around. So I want you to see where my elbow is, okay? My elbow never moves. If anything, my body's gonna move. And I can hold all of this as long as I remember where I'm cutting, okay? If you get lost, let all of that go. Just take your new little subsection. Work your way around. And again, I'm not moving my elbow. It's staying right there. Go back and find my guide. And like I said, I think you'll develop muscle memory where you just know where your arm and your shoulder and your fingers are supposed to be. Look for your guide all the way around. You've got a guide on top and a guide in back. Okay. All right. So now I've done my 12 and my 130. Now I'm going to go all the way around, do my 3 o'clock. If this bothers you, clip it up out of the way. You don't really need it anymore, okay? Now, again, we're going back here, vertical sections. Now I'm gonna just pull it out at 3 o'clock, right? All the way around, look for your guide. Did I lose it? There's my guide. And we never recut our guide, okay? So we just want to make sure we're finding that line and meeting it. That's all. I'm just moving around about 1 inch to 1/2 inch at a time. anything you previously cut, you can let it go once you really don't need it anymore for your guide. These shears are so terrible. They're good shears, but they're really squeaky. I don't know why somebody only colored the one section of hair on this.
I noticed that it was two different colors.
Yeah. Bottom. So everything below the occipital bone, I said I'm going to cut palm to palm. So I'm going to ask them to bend forward. I should only be working in the nape area. So same thing, I can isolate this if I need to. Now I'm just working in vertical sections back here at like my 4:30, 5 o'clock. Okay. And this is where I cut palm to palm. And always parallel to the scalp.
easy? Good.
And that's it. That's your 90. Okay, obviously you can get shorter and shorter and shorter. You know, on an actual haircut, we would make sure that, you know, the perimeter is what it needs to be. Right now, we're just practicing uniform layered cut. So no matter where I pull this, it should be the right length. Okay, it should be a uniform cut.